Hey guys, well, E3 was crazy. There were so many awesome games coming out on all of the consoles. I'm actually really excited about the Wii U now. I wasn't so excited at the start, if I'm honest. Now I am. But in this video, we're going to be talking about PC. And I'm going to be talking about the games that I really found were really impressive. I just want to hear you guys, though. What did you really like on the PC? Of course, we're going to have a lot of games that weren't announced, and there wasn't a lot of news on them. One of the really annoying titles for me, although a very exciting one, but at the same time really annoying, was the Elder Scrolls MMO. Elder Scrolls Online, I really wish they'd have shown more of it. It doesn't really give me an indication. I've already put out one video where I wanted to have opinions from you guys, but I'm not going to go into that because I've already put one video out, so I'm going to go through some others. Armour 3 looks very impressive to me. Graphically it looks pretty nice, especially the lighting at night. From a purely geek perspective, it's going to look quite gorgeous. I've never actually played the Armour games. I know that's almost a crime if you're a PC gamer and you're into FPS type of games or military shooters. But this one's really got my interest. It does look very cool. So Armour 3 hopefully will be released in the non-buggy state, and it will be as good as what the demos claim it to be. Moving on swiftly, Assassin's Creed 3. I'll be blatantly honest, Assassin's Creed games never really held my interest that much. I own all of them on Steam. I got them during the Steam sale. I think it was at Christmas. Yet I haven't really played them much. Assassin's Creed 3, however, is looking to be pretty nice. I don't necessarily know if I'm going to complete it. I think Amata is probably going to be the one who's really on that. She really loves the Assassin's Creed series. I'm going to move on to probably one of the more interesting ones to me, Dawn Guard. Now, I haven't actually played Elder Scrolls in a while. I kind of got bored with Skyrim after basically a first month or two. I've played it occasionally. It makes very nice graphics to show people, but other than that I kind of got bored with the storyline and so on, because to be honest with you, spent too much time just messing about, and I just stopped playing. However, Dawn Guard does look very impressive for DLC. If they are going to get it how I think they're going to get it, and you're going to be able to choose between either faction, between say the Dawn Guards themselves, in other words, anti-vampire militia, if you will, or the vampires themselves. I think it'll be extremely cool. Hopefully, it'll actually make vampires not useless. The metamorphosis into vampirism is more of something you curse, quite literally, in Skyrim and even Oblivion, because they are quite literally useless. I'm quite interested to see what the mods, however, will do with this. Obviously, with the mods, with the regular vampirism in Skyrim and Oblivion, they add quite a lot to it. So it'll be interesting to see just how far modders decide to go with Skyrim's Dawn Guard. You'll notice, for those who are following with the fact that I'm doing this alphabetically, I did miss out Call of Duty Black Ops 2 and also Borderlands 2. I missed out on Borderlands 2 because I never played the first one, although it does look a good game. I'm talking, of course, of the second. And Black Ops 2 because I never really got into that or Modern Warfare. So I don't really want to comment on either of them. Dead Space 3 just looks amazing. I'm really loving the fact that it's in a different setting. Ishimura was cool, and I very much like the settings of the second, especially the fact that we actually did go back, at least towards the end of the game, for the Ishimura. Hopefully people don't murder me for that one, for the spoiler if you haven't played it already. But Dead Space 3, with the fact that it's got a cooperative campaign, does somewhat worry me. I'm hoping it's not to the point... Excuse me guys, just getting water. I'm hoping it's not to the point where it takes away, subtracts, if you will, from the single player, but it does look very cool. And from the limited trailers that I've seen, it's definitely one of the ones that I'm very much looking forward to. So hopefully that will be released in the not too distant future. Continuing with the alphabetical theme, I'm going to go on to Dishonored. Wow. I've got to be honest, swordplay on first person is often a recipe for disaster if performed incorrectly. This does not look the case on this game, however, it looks to be fantastic. Graphics in particular look very beautiful. The cityscapes, for example, look amazing. I am a little bit worried that it could be a little bit overbalanced depending upon how they do it. In terms of your abilities, but it does look very impressive. It's obviously supernatural in origin, which is very cool. I'm very interested in this one. Hopefully it lives up to my expectations. Next up is one that I actually missed until E3, if I'm honest, and that's Hawken. I'll be honest, back in the day I was a massive fan of the mech FPS genre. I believe one of them was called Shodan. I don't remember the exact name. It used to be on the PC. It was really good. And there were also a few others that were really impressive, of course, with the Mech Warrior series. They haven't really been around that much recently. Hawken definitely takes things a little bit differently. The mechs are a lot more manoeuvrable, faster paced gameplay. I'm going to reserve judgment on whether I'm actually going to buy it and love it. It's one of those games that I'm going to keep an eye on as it progresses. I definitely recommend you check it out if you've not already. It does look quite impressive and quite fun, but we'll see just what they do with it. But it certainly looks quite unique for an FPS. Hopefully you'll be able to do quite a lot of upgrades to your mechs and so on. Obviously the game's work in progress at the moment. Haven't done too much research on this one. I'll probably do some more at some point in the future. One of the games I've really wanted to talk about was a Metro Last Light. Oh boy, Metro. It's one of my favourite games actually in the FPS genre. It's very bleak, very what's the word I'm looking for? Despair driven, if you will. It's not a happy, fun game. But there's something about the narration of the Metro, the first one I'm referring to, obviously, that really kind of sold the whole gameplay for me. Also, I love the ammo system and the weapons. They felt very makeshift, very what's the word? Very as if it belong to the world. They're not just using AK-47s all the way. They're makeshift weapons. It felt right, and I loved the creatures and so on. The storyline was pretty awesome as well. So I definitely recommend checking out Metro if you've not. Metro Last Light, however, definitely just impresses and continues to impress me. It's going to be one of those games I think I'm just going to lock myself in the house and just not move until I've completed it. It's going to be really impressive, I can just tell. First game I delayed playing at the start, but I was so glad I waited until I had a really good system to actually really appreciate it. So hopefully Metro Last Light is going to be just as good. I'm going to roll quickly onto PlanetSide 2. PlanetSide 2 I am not particularly sure about. PlanetSide 1 I never really got into. I have a feeling PlanetSide is going to be a good game, but once again, not one of those games that appealed particularly to me, but definitely if you like the first one, you're going to really love the second. SimCity I haven't played in a long time. I used to very much love the building games, theme parks, SimCities, that kind of thing. However, recently I've not really played one in the last few years. SimCity is definitely looking very impressive. Hopefully it might actually get me back into the building things and playing God games genre. There is something very satisfying about building a city for your citizens and watching them kind of go from there. Who knows though. Square Enix's Sleeping Dogs certainly looks very impressive. It's one of those games where it's going to be either very good or very disappointing. I have a feeling it's going to be the former rather than the latter though. It looks very impressive, open world, Asian gangsters, which is very different of course to the usual mafia or what have you that you normally expect to see in these type of games. It's almost shocked me actually with how violent the trailer was, particularly at the start where he's strapped to the chair. I wasn't expecting it to be quite so gritty for a Square Enix production, if I'm honest. But, you know, what have you. It definitely is going to be very impressive. It also boasts, of course, a Batman Arkham City / Arkham Asylum style free-flow combat system, which is very good. I'm a massive fan of it. The only slight criticism I'd have with that type of combat is it can be a bit easy in certain situations. You can be a bit button mashy, especially at the start. Obviously, later on when you have tougher enemies, that's not the case. However, the fact that you can do stuff like join fight clubs, karaoke, and so on is pretty impressive. It's definitely going to be one of those games I'm really looking forward to. It's going to be released, of course, this year, and it's going to be on PC, Xbox, and of course PlayStation 3. So definitely one to look out for. I think it's going to be a very impressive game. Hopefully it's not going to be a disappointment. In certain aspects it somewhat reminded me of Shenmue. I suppose it's just because of the overall Asian vibe, of course, but the settings are very different. Definitely going to be a very impressive game. Hopefully we'll see a lot more of it over the next couple of months before it's released, so we can get more of a understanding of it. Splinter Cell Blacklist. I've actually only recently started to play the Splinter Cell series. I started with Splinter Cell Conviction, actually. They were once again tempted me by a Steam sale, funnily enough. I think I picked them up for a couple of pounds each just a while back when there was a Ubisoft sale. But I very much liked it, so I'm very much looking forward to Blacklist. I'm not going to say too much on this one. It does somewhat disappoint me that the same voice actor is going to be there, but because I missed out some of the earlier games, that doesn't really mean too much for me, I suppose. We'll have to see what they do with Blacklist. I don't think it's going to be a disappointing title, though, by any means. I have a feeling most of you have already checked out the trailers, so I'm going to roll all the way over to, what's my notes say? What do my notes say? Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider is going to be a very impressive game, I can already tell. I played Tomb Raider back in the day on the PlayStation. Well, technically I played it on the Sega Saturn era, and then I bought Tomb Raider 2 and I played Tomb Raider 3 a little bit, and then I kind of got out of them. There were a few others I did play. The remake of the first was very good. That was released on the PC and I believe some other consoles. Very good. And there were a couple of other decent titles, but generally speaking I kind of got out of Tomb Raider somewhat. The new reimagining definitely looks a bit darker, a little bit more gritty. Graphics look very fantastic, as you'd expect. So she's a lot younger, she's only 21 I believe, this is her age, and she doesn't have a lot of the experience that kind of shaped her. So we'll have to see what happens on this one. I don't think it's going to be a disappointing game. Finally, we're going to roll on to Torchlight 2, which, of course, Amata covered quite in depth on some betas. She's actually really looking forward to that. I won't go into the Diablo versus Torchlight argument. Obviously, they're very different games. But if you're interested at all in the Torchlight, you can check out the beta where she went through it. She didn't really get that much opportunity to play it, unfortunately, but she did at least check out a few classes, and she very much enjoyed it, so I think she's going to be buying that and covering it a lot more in depth upon release. Finally, I'm going to talk about... actually, I've got two more to refer to. According to my notes, I thought I had only one. First of all is XCOM Enemy Unknown. Now, this is one of those titles that is definitely back from the dead. I really wish games publishers would do this to a few other series. Dungeon Keeper in particular and Magic Carpet definitely come to mind. God, I wish those games would be remade. Dungeon Keeper 3 and especially Magic Carpet, where it would just be incredible. Magic Carpet, again on a slight tangent here, but Magic Carpet was a fantastic game, and nothing really has been done that's quite like it. If anyone actually knows of any remakes or anything done in a modern style, any indie titles, please let me know. I'd very much like to cover it. Very good games. Anyway, moving on to XCOM Enemy Unknown. I haven't really checked this one out too much. I have a feeling it's going to be a very good game. It's definitely an RTS that's going to be quite interesting. Graphically, of course, it looks very impressive. But we'll have to see on this one. I'm gonna wait with bated breath. It's one of those titles where I've deliberately not looked too much into because I have a feeling it could disappoint me. I think it's going to be a good game, but it has the potential to disappoint. It's of course turn-based, which is not quite normal for me. I'm not really into turn-based strategy games personally. I more prefer, shall I say, real time. But I'm not gonna roll my eyes at it. I'm not gonna, take it down because XCOM is a very well-known title. So we'll have to see. No doubt, a lot of people have a lot of experience on the title XCOM. I'm not one of them, however. I never actually played it. There was a lot of titles I did, but that's one I didn't, unfortunately. However, it's definitely one to look out for if you're a major RTS fan, or even if you're not an RTS fan. Finally, but not least at all, on my list of games that I needed to cover, Watchdog, or shall I say Watch Dogs. The gameplay trailers, apparently in E3, were running on PC. They are, of course, interested in getting it on the current generation of consoles. Wii U is still up in the air, but hey, this is a PC video, so we don't care about that, right? Slash grin. The point being with this title is it's very open world. Looks very impressive, especially combat looks very interesting. It's considered by some to be the future of open world, games, basically. Of course, most of the games at the moment, when you say open world, you immediately think of Grand Theft Auto 4 and those type of titles, which, I'm not ragging on the titles, they're certainly good, but it's not exactly what people have, kind of want now. We want something a bit more. Now, Watch Dogs, for many people, it was... What can I say? It's very much their game of the show. It was the one that stole the show. So we'll have to see what happens. It's very much about hacking and what happens. I think the network is called CTOS, which is basically kind of like, Skynet in a way. So you obviously have to hack that and do various other bits and pieces. It definitely looks a very impressive game, if nothing else. I'm not going to really bother to cover that too much because it's definitely one of the ones that a lot of people are already banging on about, so I don't really think I need to cover it more. There's certainly a lot of people who are, writing entire articles based upon it, so I think I've kind of covered that enough. I will obviously mention some titles were not really, debuted too much. Heart of the Swarm, for example, a lot of Blizzard's titles weren't really shown at E3. And there are, of course, some other noticeable exceptions. PC gaming is definitely looking pretty strong at the moment, so hopefully we'll see some definite improvements over the next couple of months. At the moment, PC gaming's a bit quiet. Well, gaming in general seems to be a bit quiet, whether you're a PC gamer or a console gamer. There are a few titles out. There's, let's see, the Harlequin DLC, which has just been released. I'm really hoping I can get that sorted out at some point today. I might have lost some of my save games of Batman Arkham City due to a unfortunate series of events with needing to wipe my system. I think I managed to save the games over, but whether that's worked properly or not, we'll find out very shortly, so I might not be able to cover that quite yet. In terms of other games, there was obviously Max Payne 3, which was a great game actually. It was very fun, but there isn't that much else for the next couple of weeks that's really big that I'm very much looking forward to. So we'll have to see what the future holds. Definitely E3 was one of the more impressive shows in recent memories. There has been, last E3, as I've said before, wasn't that great for me. There were odd games here and there. So what about you guys, more to the point? What titles were you really impressed with? What games did you really find interesting? What games weren't you so excited about? Obviously, I can expect quite a few people to say that they were a bit disappointed with the showings of Elder Scrolls Online. It was very hyped up, and then there wasn't really that much that was shown, to be honest of it. It was just a cutscene, which wasn't that impressive. So anyway, guys, hopefully this video has given you a bit of food for thought, and at least provided a few minutes of entertainment for you. So bye for now, and take care of yourselves.